Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Atia. Merry Christmas if you celebrate, happy holidays if you don't. I am filming this video on Christmas, but I have nothing better to do. So I was like, let me tell everybody about how I almost died. So as you guys know, or maybe don't know, I had gastric bypass surgery in 2020 and I have lost over 200 pounds. And if you know me personally, or you have followed somewhat of my journey, I had a whole bunch of loose skin in my stomach area. And if I feel like editing good today, I will insert pictures of how everything looked before I had my surgery. But anyway, on November 15th of this year, I had my surgery and everything was going pretty good from what I thought. I was very nervous leading up to the surgery, as in like I wouldn't even allow myself to think about it because the thought of going under scares the heck out of me. And I was nervous about that. So when I woke up, I was like crying. So I'm like, yay, like I had my surgery. And backstory, it took me almost 2 years to even get approved for my skin removal. So I had a panniculectomy, and I'll write the proper words in the description of the surgery I had, because I can't even say it properly. But my insurance finally approved it. Now I did have to pay money to get the muscle repair portion. But let's get into how I almost died. So after my surgery, if you've had any type of skin removal, you know that to put 2 drains in you. So I had a drain on each side of my waist, of where they had both incisions on my left and right side. And I was really, really swollen, but you know, I was told that was just because of the surgery and my body was trying to heal. I was in pain. I tried to make sure I move, and so I would walk and I would be in so much pain. Every time I sat down, anytime something rubbed against the tube or against the actual incision or anything, I was in pain. I thought that was normal. So fast forward, I think, to the week of Thanksgiving. I was really hot. And my mom's like, Tia, do you have your thermometer? So she touched me and I was burning up. And I was like, no, I don't. So I literally Uber Eats a thermometer. And we'll talk about how Uber Eats is predatory and their prices later on. But anyway, Uber Eats the thermometer. By the time I got to my house and I used it, my temperature was at 103 degrees. And my mom's like, we're going to the hospital. And then luckily, I don't live too far. So I went to the hospital. They looked at me and they were just worried. They took my blood and they're like, I think your white blood cell count was like skyrocketed. And they took so much blood. And I was trying to figure out what they were doing. And there's like this little soda bottle size blood containers. And mindful, if you know me, you know I hate needles. I don't like anything that requires me to be in pain. And leading up to my surgery, I had to get my blood taken so many times to make sure that my blood count was where it needed to be. And there is no anything wrong with me, to make sure that I can actually have my surgery. And so I've been stuck so many times. And now I'm in a hospital being stuck 3 more times because they had to take my blood. And they're like, so we have to admit you because we cannot figure out what's wrong with you. We know you have an infection, but it can take up to 48 hours to 72 hours for the blood test to come back to figure out what bacteria you have. So I was in a hospital for up until Thanksgiving. I think a total of four days I was in hospital for. And it came back and I had staph infection. And they told me that if I didn't get to the hospital when I did, I could have died. And I kept asking them, did I get my infection from mishandling or whatever? And they were like, we believe it was due to where you had your surgery at. Now, mindful, I had my surgery in Aventura, Florida, because that's where my surgeon is located. And I don't live in Aventura. But when I was in the hospital, the nurses, they didn't know, some of them didn't know my name, even though my name was on my wristband. When it came to care, no one would tell me what I needed to do after the surgery. Now, when I had my gastric bypass surgery, the surgeon gave me tips, but also the surgeon's care team was very adamant about, here's a pamphlet, what you do, here's how you care for your wounds, here's what you do in this situation, here's where to call us. They actually texted me all the time just to make sure I was fine and sent calls and emails. And now, I didn't necessarily experience that with this go around having surgery. Even the last day of my surgery, or when I was in a hospital in Aventura, they didn't even know when I was admitted. Now, mindful, when you get a hospital band, it tells you when the person was admitted. When you scan the hospital band, it tells you what surgery / procedure the person had and everything. And the last nurse did not know what was going on. She was like, when did you get here? What surgery did you have? What is that? What does that even mean? You know, now, I will say, not everybody is privy to cosmetic / I guess skin removal surgeries. Now, my surgery was deemed medically necessary because I had so many complications working out. I had so many rashes form because of my loose skin and the folds and everything. And then also, if you know, I'm a runner. And I can't tell you how much pain I was in after I run because my skin would slap on my thighs. And how many rashes and cellulitis and other fungal infections I got on my skin. So my surgery was medically necessary. And you would think also, being so close to Miami / some people consider that Miami, or just South Florida in general, people would understand types of surgery like that. And my surgery was done in a hospital, and I was inpatient in the hospital for a day before I left. And I think I should have had a warning that all hell was about to break loose, because as I was being discharged, they rolled a dead body in front of me. And I should have knew that something was wrong, because why would you let a patient see that? Anyway, fast forward to me being in a hospital. They think that a lot of my infection came from the actual hospital as I was there. So I am in a hospital. I get discharged. Fast forward, I have to go see my surgeon. Or go to my surgeon's office because 2 weeks has passed and it's time for me to get my drains taken out. And mindful, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in a lot of pain. And so I had to drive from Orlando to Miami because, you know, I don't live near where my surgeon is at. And so I get there. Mindful, I had to drive. I'm uncomfortable. It hurts to breathe. As soon as I get into the office and the assistant sees me, he's like, I'm calling your surgeon because I'm not taking your drains out. Because mindful, I would insert pictures, but we'll see. We'll see if I'll insert pictures. But anyway, I'm like this wide. My drains are leaking. And mindful, I know I'm still trying to fight my infection. But he was like, I want you to go to the doctor. And they immediately told me, drive to the emergency room. So luckily, the emergency room where I actually had my surgery was only 10 minutes down the road. So we went there and they do x-rays. The same hospital that I believe gave me my infection, same hospital who also tried to kill me again because I had an IV and they put it up here. Now, mindful, I don't like having my blood taken or having IVs because I just had an IV in this hand or this arm for 4.5 days when I was in the hospital. So my veins are already really weak. And so they're like, oh, you need to do a CT scan. And so because I had gastric bypass surgery, I think that's the reason why. But anyway, they always have to do with contrast to be able to see my organs more. And the moment, I still have a scar on where the IV was at, but the moment this contrast went into my body, usually it's supposed to do a phased approach, it just went like that. And mindful, all of that contrast went into my vein so fast, and my vein basically like just expanded, and it was the worst pain of my life. And instead of the nurse who was doing the IV contrast or who was in the CT room saying, oh, are you okay? She was like, oh, it's over. Stop trying to take it out. Because the pain was so bad that I literally tried to rip my IV out. That's how bad the pain was. And then to make matters worse, you know, my middle name is Nicole. And my first name's Atia, and every single time they would refer to me, it would be Nicole. And I'm like, no, my name's Atia. And she was like, whatever, Nicole. The hospital, it's HCA Aventura. If you are in the Miami area, do not go to HCA Aventura, because these people are the bane of my existence. But anyway, so I get rolled back into the room, and they're like, okay, the reason why we sent you here is we thought you had a pulmonary embolism. You don't have a pulmonary embolism, but you do have pneumonia. So not only did I get an infection a week and a half after my surgery, actually before that, because they said I had an infection for a while, my body's last defense was the fever, and then they said the next step would be me going into sepsis. So now I have pneumonia, and pneumonia is bad, but I'm bearing through it. The day after my birthday, so I turned 27 on December 3rd. December 4th, I'm driving with my mom, still in pain, but still on my antibiotics they gave me for my infection. And they were like, oh, I started coughing up blood. And I immediately messaged my primary care doctor, because she has been seeing me through all this too. And I love my primary care doctor. And she was like, you need to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and I'm like, okay, good. They're just going to send me here, probably do a CT scan / x-ray again, and then send me home. Oh, y'all, let's rewind. When I was in the hospital the first time, I've never been allergic to anything in my life ever. They gave me a medicine, though they gave me oxycodone. Mindful, when I've had my gastric bypass surgery and this surgery, they sent me home with it, never had any issues. I have a full-blown allergic reaction to the oxy in the hospital, to the point where I literally have scratches all over my body because my throat started closing up and my body started to hive up. They're like, okay, we'll give you the oxycodone with Benadryl. I forgot what that one was called, but I took that and my body did the same thing. My throat started closing up, my body broke out in hives. So they have told me that I am now allergic to opioids and that I'm not allowed to take opioids anymore. So mindful, the second time I'm in the emergency room, they gave me this strong antibiotic because they're like, oh, your infection hasn't gone away. And antibiotics that they gave me when I was in a hospital and sent me home with, they said that my body wasn't absorbing it well, so they actually need to put me on IV. So like, oh, we're going to admit you back into the hospital. Now mindful, y'all, the day after my birthday, and I'm like, wow, I make it to 27 years on earth and I have to go back in the hospital again. So mindful, I'm in a very mentally dark place at this point. So I'm like, I finally beat death. Then I'm back in the hospital with pneumonia and my infection's not getting better. My whole body swelled up. So all of the fluid that was in my body was just everywhere. My legs were huge. My thighs were huge. My calves were getting bigger. My ankles were getting bigger. I just had so much fluid in me. I went into my surgery at 183 pounds. For my skin removal on 11/15. On 12/4, I was 225 pounds, and those extra pounds were just straight fluid. So anyway, I'm in a hospital for my pneumonia, and I think I'm in there for 3 days, and they're like, okay, well, we think you're doing good now. It's time for you to leave. And I was like, are y'all sure? Because I don't want to come back here again for the third time. I can't tell y'all how expensive those medical bills are going to be from me being in a hospital for the first time and then going to the emergency room visits and everything. And they're like, actually, pneumonia is going rampant right now, and it's safer for you to be at home than it is for you to be here, because we're going from sick patient to sick patient. And the longer you stay here, the worse you'll probably get. And so they sent me home. And yeah, so now today is December 25th. I am hopefully on the up and up. I'm trying to beat a cold. It's not the flu, it's not COVID, it's not anything. My immune system has taken a huge beating and I am trying to recover. And so it kind of sucks because, this is my birth month. This is also Christmas and New Year's. It's December, it's my favorite month, but I'm stuck in the house. I have been trying to go out here and there, and if I do go out, it's a place that is very open space and not crowded. But anyway, that's what happened. I can't believe in the span of a month and a half this has happened to me, and how near death I was twice, and how short life really is. And I think it still hasn't, the magnitude of what has happened to me still hasn't hit me. I finally got my drains taken out. My body is starting to go back to how it used to be. The other unfortunate thing about it, because of my infection and how big I got, my belly button that they had to reconstruct didn't take, and so now I don't have a belly button. So we'll cross that bridge mentally later on. But yeah, if you guys want me to talk about anything else about my surgery and about how I almost died, ask me any questions. I'm trying to start filming again, but you know, a lot of my content is around clothes and fashion, and I'm sick and tired of spending money. So if you have any recommendations on what videos you want to see from me next, or any questions about my surgery and what I plan on doing next, please let me know. A lot of people know I was training for my half marathon. I can't train until probably January, when I'm fully healed and I'm cleared by my doctor to start doing more exercise. But yeah, once again, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys are having a great time with your families, and if you're not with your families, I hope you're enjoying this time with yourself. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.